Assassin's Creed Shadows has been out for a few days now, and as people slowly start buying the game and playing around, I know a lot of those people are looking for a bit of guidance as to how you could play as an assassin as quickly as possible within Assassin's Creed Shadows. And the reason is, there's lots of different viable playstyles that you can adopt in Assassin's Creed Shadows, both playing as Yasuke or Naue. You can be more combat focused, more stealth focused, you can be more of an assassin, more of a shinobi, more of a samurai, and because there's so much choice and you can't pick everything at once because the amount of skill points you have and all of the options available to you aren't available at the same time, I thought I'd make this guide kind of giving my tips and tricks for playing as an assassin as quickly as possible and having that assassin playstyle not be stunted by some of the game design choices that Ubisoft has made. So as someone who loves playing as an assassin and chasing that ever elusive assassin fantasy, I'm going to run through certain categories of things that you want to look at and that you want to focus on when starting to play Assassin's Creed Shadows so that you can start playing as an assassin and feeling like an assassin as quickly as possible. I'm going to run through the gear that you want to use as well as the weapons, then where you want to focus most of your skill points in, and then I'm going to give you some recommendations of what to do early game, what you want to be focused on if you're exploring outside of the main narrative, what activities you want to focus on early game, and then I'm going to end by suggesting the playstyle that I think you should adopt if you're trying to kind of play as an assassin and what that looks like. So let's begin with gear. Now, the easiest thing to look at first is the outfits. There are many amazing outfits in Assassin's Creed Shadows. I think that's one of probably the best parts about the game is the outfits that they've given you. And there's two that I want to talk about that are my favorite outfits, and I think they look most like an actual assassin, even though you can probably pick and choose quite a few. The first one is one that you discover and unlock in the story, so I won't tell you too much about how you unlock it, but it's basically the classic assassin outfit in the game. Every Assassin's Creed game basically has a black and red outfit that resembles the old school Assassin's Creed fashion style, and Naue's one in this game is spectacular. It reminds me a lot of the Ezio outfit from Assassin's Creed Chronicles China, for 5 people here that might remember that, and it's an absolutely stunning outfit. It fits her amazing, and obviously it gives you perks for being an assassin because it's the kind of gear that you want to use when using that stealth playstyle. And the second one is basically the black version of this outfit. It's another beaked hood assassin style outfit with the shoulder guard and the flowing robes. It looks spectacular. You can see some gameplay here of me wearing it. Those two outfits make me feel like Naue's kind of like ultimate form, or I don't know how you want to call it, but basically how she looks when she's most like an assassin and she discovers her heritage and her lineage the most. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers because it's still very early days with Assassin's Creed Shadows being released, but the black outfit you can unlock through either chasing and following the Assassin's Creed activities that you unlock once that part of the story is unlocked, or you can also just throughout the world find these gear pieces with different names. As you can see here on the screen, I've got that gear repeated twice, so it's not a piece of gear like the apprentice outfit that only appears once in the story. You can actually find it in the open world, and once you do, you probably want to wear it as much as you can because it's just such a cool outfit. So those are my two favorite outfits from an assassin perspective that you want to use. And when it comes to weapons, I recommend that your first weapon slot is taken up by the Kusarigama. The reason why is because A, it looks amazing in combat, but B, it gives you a very specific access to a skill in the assassin skill tree that I'll talk about later that only works when you have the Kusarigama. And then the second weapon option, I tend to recommend either the katana or the tanto, which is like this short blade dagger style weapon that's much more close quarters combat, very fast, very acrobatic. It feels like something that an assassin would use. But again, the katana is just a classic weapon that you can feel free to use and makes you feel amazing as like an assassin slash samurai. But the one thing that I do want to recommend is that the Kusarigama is the main weapon you use because of this rush assassination ability we'll look at in a second. And let's go ahead now and look at the skills that you want to focus on and what you want to develop. With Naue, you basically have 6 different skill categories or trees that you can look at. You have the katana, the Kusarigama, and the tanto, so 3 skill trees, each for 1 weapon type. And then you can focus on your tools, your shinobi abilities, and your assassin abilities. Now, some of these that you want to focus on are pretty obvious, like we are going to try and max out the assassin skill tree as quickly as possible, as well as the tool skill tree and the shinobi skill tree. But again, because you're going to be using the Kusarigama and you probably will be entering combat even if you focus on stealth, the 4th skill tree you want to focus on is the Kusarigama. Now, what are the first skills that you want to unlock as you slowly start moving through the game? I personally recommend that you start maxing out the assassin skill tree and the tool skill tree as quickly as possible. Those are the 2 you want to focus on. I'm going to tell you why. The assassin one is obvious. It just gives you as much access to the different styles of assassinations that you want, so going prone and breathing underwater to then assassinate someone. It just unlocks the hidden blade. It unlocks things like double assassination, ground assassination, all the things that you want to get as quickly as possible so that you don't have to spend 20 hours unlocking this later in the game just to play like an assassin. Again, our goal here is not to max out our character and make Naue the most efficient RPG character possible, but just to have enough tools in the toolkit to perpetuate that assassin fantasy. So for example, something like the shoji door assassination, you want to unlock pretty quickly because it's going to allow you to be more creative in the styles of kills that you have and the amount of different abilities that you can use when going through a stealth map. And that kind of links into why I think the tools section is something that you want to unlock pretty quickly as well. No matter how quickly you upgrade your assassin skill tree, because this is level gated, you're probably going to want to use as many tools as you can early on. Now you can turn on instant assassination and that's going to solve a lot of your issues, but going around only using your hidden blade is only going to go so far. Your tools are there to help you out and make you much more versatile as an assassin, make you much more creative, and usually help you in sticky situations when you're either being caught or there's so many guards that you couldn't go one by one just cutting them down. The two things I want you to focus on when looking at tools is increasing A, the damage that you can cause, and B, the amount of tools that you can carry. Everything else you can upgrade if you want, like unlocking the tool that makes a lot of noise or unlocking a shuriken to kind of take out light sources, and those are good ancillary things eventually you want to max out. But because you want to focus on getting as much bang for your buck early game, focus on increasing the amount of tools you can carry by increasing your tool bag or increasing the amount of damage something like a kunai causes, to make sure that if you're throwing a knife at someone, it's not causing half damage and then making them detect you. Because one thing I hate with stealth tools is when they don't fully act out their purpose. If I'm throwing a knife from stealth, it's because I want to kill a guard, not alert him of where I am and only take out half his health to then have to enter combat. So again, making sure that you're catching up with the amount of damage caused so that an enemy being a higher level doesn't cause you to have to leave stealth is probably the best thing you can do with a skill tree. Try and max those two skill trees out as quickly as possible. And a tip that I want to give you for what you want to do to make these skills available as quickly as possible is whenever you don't want to be focusing on the narrative of the game, whenever you want to be focusing on exploring the world and doing the side activities, there are two kinds of side activities that are going to give you a lot of value in terms of you focusing on unlocking these skills. First, if you go here in the map, I'm going to show you this kind of icon that's orange and gives you a reward that's an orange icon, which is basically a knowledge point. Knowledge points are needed to increase in rank, which unlock the different kinds of skills that are higher up in the tiers that you want to unlock. So you can unlock these and max it out early on in the game. These aren't tied to the narrative of the story. The open world is open to you as soon as Naue is kind of given free roam of the world, even before you unlock Yasuke. So if you want, you can literally just go around Japan looking for these orange activities, completing them, and then therefore unlocking all these possible skills that you can use your mastery points on. So the second point is, how do you unlock mastery points? Well, as you can see here in the menu, you have this kind of main circle of main assassinations in your objective board, and all around it you have these smaller circles with these unknown figures that you have to hunt down. And all of these figures are targets that you have to kill. Like literally, it's just rinse and repeat throughout this whole game. You have so many different targets to kill. What you want to do is go around killing these smaller targets before focusing on the main targets. The smaller targets are going to give you mastery points. They're pretty easy to hunt down, pretty easy to kill. It's really fast missions that don't demand too much of your time and give you a lot of mastery points that you can spend on skills. So if you want to have an assassin that's decked out and ready for the main assassination events, for the main assassination missions, so that you're not forced out of stealth because of the lack of tools or because of the lack of abilities or because of the lack of damage you can cause as an assassin, what you want to do is focus a lot of your early playtime in preparing Naue for these missions. So spend time doing these orange icon activities because they're going to give you knowledge points, and spend a lot of time killing the smaller ancillary targets around your objective board. Focus on unlocking the main skills in the assassin branch and the tool branch first, and then the kusarigama and the shinobi branch as well. The kusarigama again is not that necessary because it's mainly focused on combat when it comes to skill trees, but in the assassin branch, if you have the kusarigama, you can do this thing called a rush assassination, which allows you to basically do a long range assassination, which is just OP as fuck. So just try and get that and use that weapon as often as you can. Now that you have your gear, now that you have your skills, and now that you have your outfits, how do you want to play in this game? Well, a really important thing that you have to know about Assassin's Creed Shadows is that the stealth is much more improved and holistic than it's been in any other game. You can't just rely on tools or insta assassinations to get through a level. You have to interact with your environment, understand your advantages in terms of light and foliage and places that you can hide in, and also understand that probably the strongest way to approach a fort is by using a 3-step method. You want to first observe your targets. Whether you want to use eagle vision or not is up to you, but you definitely want to use the observe mechanic to tag or identify a lot of targets in a small little area. Then you want to attack in a guerrilla style warfare kind of approach. You want to basically figure out how you're going to take down a set of 3 to 4 targets within an area, kill them as quickly as possible, and then use your grappling hook or hiding spots to retreat and regroup, to then go to the next area in the restricted area and do the same. You want to basically use guerrilla style warfare, as I mentioned. Now is very quick, very rapid, and you want to use this to your advantage. edge. The level design also is very much kind of pushing you towards this style of play when it comes to stealth. Many of the castles and hideouts that you're going to see in this game are kind of sectioned off into little courtyards or little areas where there's going to be a set of guards, and it's kind of like a puzzle that you have to solve. There's a set of guards and you have to figure out, okay, how do I kill all these guards without any of them being in my line of sight, without getting caught, and making sure that you can kill all of them in stealth. The game developers very clearly want you to adopt this style with Naue, of killing a few guards, retreating, going up to a rooftop, observing the next set of guards, and doing the same. This kind of 3-step process and rinse and repeat approach feels a bit formulaic, and if you want to branch away from that and be more creative, feel free, but it's actually really addictive and very fun to do this kind of guerrilla style warfare. So for anyone who's starting out in the game or is looking for a way to kind of speed up the process of actually being able to be an assassin, because sometimes, as I mentioned, the game doesn't really let you do that because of level gating or combat focus or this and that. These are my tips and tricks from playing the game for a few hours and almost finishing it on how you want to focus on perpetuating that assassin fantasy and what you want to focus on to get that as soon as possible. Because again, I don't like when you can only be an assassin once you've leveled up enough and you've basically beat the entire game. I want to be an assassin when I'm hunting down the main targets. So these are the things that you can do to make sure that before you go deep into the story, very early on in the game, very low level, you can unlock all these things and actually be an assassin. If you've enjoyed this video and want to hear my more extensive thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows, you can watch the review that I made now.